Well, I don't know what's happening, everybody. It's a bit of a shit show tech-wise over here today. Hello. Hopefully, we'll wait a second here and see if folks hop back in. Thank you for being here. Pop a little comment in the comment thing just to let us know you're here. Hi, hi, hi. We don't know what's happening. Leslie, can you type to me in the private chat so I know you're getting my messages? I can't tell if you're even getting my messages. Are you getting these? Just type back to me. Hello. Hi, friends. Good to see everybody. Hello, hello. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Technology sometimes does weird stuff, and we never know what it's gonna do. I'm gonna make abstract noises for a second just to let folks gather back on. Good to see you, Cindy. Good to see you, Tisha. Good to see Ninety. Hello, hello. All right, I just want to make sure we let a few humans join before I start rambling about our very fun topic today, about which I'm actually quite excited. And perhaps I will just drive in. Hi, Christine. Hi, Chauncey. Lovely to see you all. Hello. I'm just killing some time here. We had some technical issues at the beginning. Couldn't make it happen. Couldn't make it happen. You know what did happen, though? This dog got onto her blanket and did what she does best. Which is be the muse for everything that I do in my life. We spent some time at the vet today, you guys, because Squeezel has had her name is Squeezel if you didn't know that, real poop issues. I won't bore you with all the details, but I'm really tempted to because she's my dog and she had poop problems for like 7 days. So we took her in and they gave her all the antibiotics and all the probiotics, and she'll be taking them, and hopefully her poops will be healthier. All right, you've all waited enough. I'm going to start talking. Good to see you here. We might be a small but mighty band today, but I'm happy to have all of you. So thank you for hanging in with our tech issues. So excuse my cough as well. I wanted to talk today about 2027 and the age of individualism. We are coming out of an entire very large chunk of history, which has been based in tribalism. Tribalism, as you may have noticed, has everything to do with what is the group doing? What does the tribe say? What's best for the tribe? How does the tribe survive? What is my role in the tribe? And so on and so forth. You know, tribalism has its benefits and it has its challenges. So we see a ton of its challenges in our modern world when we look at how the ego and the mind can overly attach to identifying with a tribe, right? If you go, my family is good and your family is bad, well, then you're setting up polarity, and that's how we get war. When you say, this is my land and my tribe lives here and your tribe should live over there, and we're going to come over into your land and kill your people because our tribe is different from your tribe. Now you see the challenges of tribalism. And hello, Christine and Doc. Good to see you guys. Please feel free to post whatever comments you feel like posting. You guys, it's great to see that you're here and engaged and thinking thoughts and sharing feelings. I love hearing from you guys. So, so those are the obvious challenges of tribalism. Now, there are some obvious benefits of tribalism, right? When it's clear what the tribe needs to survive, well, then you kind of know what to do in your life to support the tribe. And when it's clear what the tribe believes in, then you know what to do to fit in with the tribe. When it's clear what the tribe wants you to do and judges as good or bad or right or wrong, then it's easy to figure out how to be loved by the tribe. Hey, Rochelle, good to see you. I'm having allergies, you guys. So if you hear me coughing incessantly, it's weird springtime allergy stuff. I do not have COVID. Not that you can catch it through the screen, but just a heads up. So tribalism existed in consciousness for a long time. Frankly, from my perspective, when I sit in the Akashic records of consciousness or tap into consciousness in any way, what I'm often given or shown, or the awareness I get, is that human beings, the actual body, mind, organism of a human being, could only handle tribalism until now. It could literally not hold the frequency or the consciousness of individualism. We needed to believe there were right ways to do things, and our tribe did it this way and your tribe does it that way, and that's good and this is bad, and all of that. We needed that as a collective to survive. Now, however, consciousness has said, cool, cool, cool. I know you guys are all attached to your little tribes now, and that's delightful and charming. But the reality is that consciousness itself has its own MO. And what consciousness is about is creating and expanding. So consciousness is kind of always making more of itself and of its own awareness and expanding outward, in the same way that, like, the universe, right? When scientists look at what's happening with the universe, they see that it's constantly expanding outward. Physicists do not see, when they look at what consciousness is doing, like an edge where it ends. It's like, oh, the universe stops here. We have no fucking idea where the universe stops. But what we do know is all of the scientific measurements we're able to take suggest that there is no stop. There is no edge to the edge of the universe. There's just constant outward momentum. So if you think about the Big Bang, literally or metaphorically, however you like to frame it, an explosion of items and energies and consciousnesses occurred, and it is continuing right now and infinitely forever outward. And that's what consciousness is about. So if consciousness, that which is aware of itself, is constantly creating and expanding, why would we expect humanity, which is one life force, one type of being that has a mind and a heart and a nervous system, and one type of race in this universe and dimensionality, why would we expect the human race to not be affected by the unfolding and the evolving of consciousness? We are vehicles that were actually designed to eventually be able to be, carriers or purveyors of consciousness. We were meant to wake up. We really actually were. The trouble is, human beings don't like waking up, because waking up means you have to let go of things like tribalism. You have to let go of things like identification with aspects of your personality. You have to let go of the need to be right. You have to let go of self-judgment. You have to let go of judgment entirely. Think about that for 1 second. Okay, I am not the first person to talk about this concept at all, but it's a good one to get you into, to start to get your head around the idea of what consciousness is doing. Think about what your life would be like if you didn't function from judgment, aka good, bad, right, wrong. Squeezel is barking in the background. Is that bad? Is it wrong? Do I wish she wasn't? Well, I'm sitting here choosing in my heart to kind of drop my attachment to needing her to not bark. And I feel pretty damn peaceful as I do that. I also know eventually she'll stop barking. I also know I don't actually have to be derailed. I could choose to not be derailed by Squeezel's barking, or I could choose to get up and pick her up and do whatever it takes to stop her from barking. But it would be the energy of attaching to the judgment of the wrongness of her barking that would cause me to suffer. Additionally, it would cause me to be separated from her. Now, let's be clear about how judgment works. I can walk up to Squeezel the dog, pick her up, bring her over here, pet her a little bit, and she'll stop barking. Notice, judgment, making her wrong, is not required in order for me to move my feet and pick up the dog and pet her so she stops barking. I don't have to judge the situation as bad or wrong in order to change the situation. So this is an important key thing that human beings struggle with. And it's part of the reason why waking up and becoming consciously aware is so hard for human beings. We like to say, I know what's good. I know what's bad. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. And if I just do what's good, I'll be okay. And somebody will love me and I'll belong to a tribe, and then I'll be safe. And then everything will be good and right and safe and good. And what we really mean by good and right and safe and good is that it will never change again. We all want to be good and right and safe so that we don't ever have to change again. But that means going to sleep. You go to sleep when change is not required of you. Some of us don't have that luxury. I've had the kind of life where I haven't had the option to not change. This lifetime is filled with change for me. And that's, you see that with any healer or spiritual teacher or psychic, a person who's like actually doing the actual growth work that I hope all and wish all healers and psychics and spiritual teachers would do, is that nothing is constant. The only constant is change. So how does all this relate to the age of individualism? Allow me to hydrate and then I'll tell you. So Ra, the channeler, the purveyor of human design, has been quoted as saying, or has said, that in 2027 there's this shift in consciousness where enough of the population of humanity becomes awake to the power and the potency of its own sovereignty, the power and the potency of its own individuality, that the collective shifts from being a collective of tribalism to a collective of individualism. Meaning, I'm going to give an extreme example to make a point. I'm not suggesting this to people. I'm not saying I think this is going to happen or this is true. It's just a metaphoric example to make a point. You could imagine an individual taking it onto their own hands to like get rid of Putin. Let's say we get rid of Putin and all the oligarchs in Russia. Just one lady gets cranky at night, gets her sniper out, just takes him out. You might have enough people who in Russia who are sick and tired of living in the tribalistic, controlled world that Russians have to live in, that if Putin got taken out and all the oligarchs got taken out, you might see an entirely new Russia pretty damn quickly. Because the tribalism that maintains control in a country like Russia or China, or the tribalism that's in control here in America, there's plenty of it here. When it starts to threaten consciousness, see, consciousness can't be stopped. There's no stopping conscious unfoldment. Consciousness is going to unfold and evolve and expand no matter what human beings do, no matter how much we resist it. So you'll either flow with it and expand and grow yourself and evolve into your next form, taking in through your system what consciousness is offering, or you'll die off. You'll be part of the stuff that doesn't re-evolve, right? And I see this as being very hopeful for the tyrants in the world. You know, the Trumps and the Putins of the world are not really going to, I don't think, and I don't hope, survive the shift into individualism. Why? Because humans are finally ready, or we should say enough humans are finally ready enough, theoretically, hopefully, if everything that Ra says is true, and I'm talking about this because energetically I get that he's correct. We may actually be at a point, oh boy. Let's see if I can make this dog stop barking. Maybe. Oh. I think I did it. She's coming in. Come over here. What are you doing? Come up here. These people are trying to hear me say words. Come here. Come say hi. You don't have to bark. The dog lives in a fucking tower in the sky. And there's other dogs walking outside 2 stories below. Your life is not being threatened in any actual way. It's not. You're very protective. I appreciate you. Beasts of burden. So, where was I? Yes. Right. So if the collective actually shifts from being a collective that is married to the values of tribalism to a collective that is married to or in support of or in alignment with the values of individualism, a collective that supports individualism is not going to bow down to tyranny. It's going to be too busy doing its own thing to even give a shit about a tyrant. And so here's how I see this playing out. Already, it's very, very much present here and happening. Look how cute she is now. She's got her head on my arm. Look at that. See, she just needed a little love. We should take this as advice with parenting. Whenever you think you need to judge and control your kids, it's like, what if you gave them a hug? Would that calm them down too? Probably. Huh. Yeah. So, here's how I see it playing out right now. If you look at what's going on with zillennials, the young people of today, the 20 somethings, the people in their early 30s, the people that are teenagers, these young ones, have you noticed that they don't give any fucks about the old school rules of tribalism? Have you noticed that like all the young people of today are like quitting their jobs and like don't give a fuck and not showing up on time and doing what they fucking want? Everybody wants their own business now. Everybody sells their crafts at a craft fair. Everybody's bought. Do you know how many millennials bought houses last year? Millennials and younger, they're the ones buying fucking houses. I have never bought a fucking house. I'm 155 years old. It was never a priority for me because I was dumb. Actually, what I was traumatized and healing my stuff, and just wasn't a priority for me. But this group of kids, they came into this conscious awareness in this body pretty fucking awake, and they realized pretty quick. My 26-year-old stepsister, bought a house because she's fucking smart, and she realized, oh, if I buy instead of rent, I'm not just throwing money at the wind. Who's this landlord guy? Why am I going to give him my money? I'm an individual. I deserve a house. So she has what we call healthy amounts of entitlement. People in the liberal world like to get really down on entitlement. We like to be like, these entitled zillennials, and they don't know we had to work so hard to walk uphill in the snow. Yeah, we did. But we did that so that they wouldn't have to. They should be entitled. They need their entitlement to do the shit they're going to do in their lifetimes. Entitlement is actually quite a useful energy to be willing to embody. I sometimes wish I felt more entitlement because I would be vastly more successful in the world, helping a lot more people if I felt more entitled to whatever. Now, entitlement can be toxic and icky and gross if it comes from a place of superiority and a place of wanting to dominate and control other people. But if it comes from a place of like, I'm entitled to succeed and so are you. We're all entitled to live well. Well, that's what I'm seeing with this younger generation. They're all like, hold up. I'm not going to go to work for Google unless Google gives me some sweet ass perks. You know why? Because there's a bunch of other startups that are given sweet ass perks. So why would I go to work for Google? I'm an individual. You see, they came in thinking this way already. And part of it is because consciousness evolved and they just showed up that way. But part of it is because they were parented by us. We, our generation, we parented them and we loved the shit out of them. Why? Because we didn't get loved in the way we wanted to be loved. And we thought, I'm going to do this better. And we did do it better. And we created entitled individualists, which isn't always bad. We've got to understand both sides of every coin. And we've got to see that an entitled individual is yes, they can be spoiled little bitches, but they can also be the person who goes, okay, I am sick of this fucking Putin bullshit. What is this clown? No. And they fucking handle it. Somebody forms a militant regime and gets him out of there, or somebody forms a democracy and they vote him out, or some shit changes because somebody stepped into their sovereignty and their individualism. Now, what I want to say about this is you could hear what I'm saying about individualism. That could sound very libertarian. It could sound very separatist. You could hear me saying individualism is not bad and think what I mean is, well, great, now we're all going to be separated on our little islands and not connecting with one another, right? You could see the possible downfall of individualism if you hear it in that particular way. Allow me to hydrate. But the individualism I'm talking about is an individualism that honors the soul and honors the self and honors the spirit of me. My I'm a very weird individualist and always have been. I can't take any credit for that. That's just how I showed up. But what I've seen over my lifetime is that my individualism is here to take care of me. In other words, people abandon their individualism so that the tribe will approve of them. I was lucky and blessed with a very eccentric father who, even though he didn't, there's a lot of stuff he didn't give me as a parent that, would have been nice to have. What he did, what's it called? Mirror for me, or what's the word I want? Template for me, was that we're free to be who we actually are. He was just a weird, eccentric guy. So I learned, okay, dad is weird, and he was successful in the world. He's like a successful CEO guy. Yes, he was a white male, and that made it easier. But as a sort of strong little lady like I was, I got templated with a guy who said, "I do what I fucking want. I'm a weirdo, and that's okay. Somebody loves me. I'm married. I have a kid. We have a nice house." So I got implanted or imprinted with the idea that you don't have to fit in to what the world is doing or what the tribe says, and you can still succeed. In fact, people might even love you for who you are if you be exactly who you are. They might even love that about you. And I found that over and over again in my life is the case. Anytime I have ever tried to do anything that was designed to please the people. Now, this is specific to my chart and me, okay? I'm not built that way. It doesn't work. Anytime I try to fit into molds and do what people say, it falls apart and I lose my mojo. I need a lot of freedom and autonomy to create whatever the fuck I want to create. That's kind of how I roll. Now, I'm not saying all of you need to be like that, or this is the dawning of the age of Katie Rubin. What I'm trying to say is that I have personal experience with the value of honoring the self and what the self needs. Okay. I have personal experience with how successful one's life can be when one prioritizes one's own eccentricities and needs. And according to what Ra says in Human Design, and according to what I see when I open the Akashic Records, we are consciousness is there. It's like, hey, Katie, go get loud and talk on the internet about this stuff because this is what is unfolding in the collective. People need to wake up to how important it is for them to honor themselves as sovereign individuals and not spend their entire lives worrying about, as Doc says, what will the fucking neighbors think? You know what? Half your neighbors will hate you and half your neighbors will love you. Or maybe like a third of your neighbors will hate you and a third of your neighbors won't even notice you and a third of your neighbors will be your friend. No matter what you do, that's how it's gonna go. Or some other percentage that's more true. Now, are there people that everybody loves? There are those people. There are some people who people just love them. Everybody loves those people. Guess what? I bet you anything if you show me that person's human design chart, it's there's a gate and a channel and a center that says this is the gate. This is a person with the gate of everybody loves them. So much of the stuff that happens in our lives, you guys, so much of what is in your individual reality is written. It just is, and it's not going anywhere. So best practice and where you could, a nice, intelligent, as I remove my arm from under her face, a nice, intelligent place to put your energy would be in getting good with what is, surrendering to, becoming in allowance with who you actually are. If you could, now I'm a big fan of human design and I really believe in it because it just reveals itself to be true over and over and over again. And if you're ready to have your chart looked at, hit me up, message me through my website, and we'll break your chart down and understand who you are. The human design perspective says this is a no choice universe where you are what you are and the people are going to relate to you how they're going to relate to you, and the people that like you are going to like you. Now, before I even found human design, I kind of knew this because I was lucky to have this eccentric dad. And also I just had the awareness of like, oh, when I met Tracy, my childhood best friend who just visited me last week, we just clicked. And I noticed, and this was in 6th grade, I noticed this. I don't click with her, and I don't click with her, and I don't click with her. I don't have to judge them because they're just I don't click with them. But I don't click with them, so I'm not gonna go hang out with them. Why? Because it's not very satisfying for me to hang out with them. And I just noticed that. Rather than saying, I should change myself so that I get her to like me and her to like me and her to like me, I said to myself, well, Tracy and I click, and how many people do I fucking need in my life? Now, when I've gone, let's be real, I've gone down many primrose paths in my life. And every time, if I trace it back, I look at, oh, I got lost for a second in thinking I had to be someone else to please those people, or I had to change who I am to fit into whatever that fucking structure is over there. When things are working well in Katie Rubin land, it's because I'm going, hold on, what is the reality of Katie Rubin? How do I build a life that supports the reality of Katie Rubin? Not how do I build a life that she's happy about and my mother approves of and my dad thinks is intelligent and my stepmother can approve of, and fuckity shit. Before you know it, there's no you left in that equation. And all that's left is seeking the approval of others. All that's left is a void, attempts to fill the void within you. What if you could fill the void just by being honest about what's true for you? Now, let me give you some uncomfortable examples about myself so you don't think this is all just roses and skipping down a easy path of life. There are several things about me, and I'm using me again as an example. I want to be vulnerable in front of you guys to show you I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass and speaking in an abstract way because it's easy for me to speak in an abstract way. I'm telling you real shit about actual life. Let me think of an actual example. So here's one. The more energy healing work I started to do, which I was doing because, as I've shared with you guys before, I had a lot of trauma and nothing was helping me with my trauma in my heart and in my nervous system, except for energy healing, divine light channeled energy healing. So I did a lot of it, right? Like a lot, like hours and hours and hours and hours a week, like every day, something, right? For a lot of years. The more of that I did, the more my nervous system changed. I became quite sensitive. So many things I used to be able to do easily, including the things that made my career work, like get on stage and do the same play 8 times a week for 8 weeks. You know, I was a stage actor, a professional regional theater actor for a long time. I did dozens of plays that people paid me for, and that was my dream. And I was living the dream. And the more energy work I did, I was like, wow, these lights on the stage are really fucking bright and they're really affecting me. And the sound is really loud. And these people are fun, but I can't really seem to form any real connections with a lot of them, except for that one and that one. And I wish I could work from home. And now I'm tired by 8 o'clock and I don't want to be going to the theater at 8 o'clock. So I could have spent my time, and I did. I erroneously, foolishly spent a lot of energy trying to get myself to not be sensitive to the lights, to not need to go to sleep at 8, go home at 8 o'clock so I can be in bed by 10. I didn't want to need a dog. I didn't want to care about money. I wanted to be like a free flowing artist person because that was cool. And because it is cool. It's a cool thing. And getting paid to be creative is fucking great, right? So I thought, well, maybe I can change myself and maybe I can not be this way. And I should just buck up and I should be stronger and I should pull up my big girl panties and handle it. I was very lucky to have a lot of coaching from people in the 12-step programs, and particularly my Al-Anon sponsor for a lot of years and my therapist would say to me, so you're trying to fit the square peg of you into the round hole of your career? And I'd be like, hold up. Back up, say it again. And they'd go, yeah, you're trying to fit the square peg of you into the round hole of your career. Your career wants you to do this, and you are made up like this. So how much of your life force energy, Katie, do you want to spend trying to become this when you're this? And I was like, but how do I trust that if I'm this, it's going to work out for me? And the people in my life said, well, that's a practice. And that's what I'm saying to you today, is that you build faith. It's another cranky thing I have where I'm pissed off at spiritual people sometimes. They're like, just have faith. Have faith. It's like, well, sometimes you don't have any fucking faith. And the way you build faith is by taking small risks, small measured risks that you can handle in your nervous system toward the dreams you have about how you could be fulfilled, how you could honor your nervous system, how you could take care of what your body, mind, organism needs. And you start to get little bit by bit evidence of the fact that it's gonna work the fuck out. So you build trust by taking risks. You've got to leap off the cliff a little bit and hold on to the side a little bit and then leap off a little more and hold a little more and keep leaping. And one day you look back and you go, fuck, I jumped off a fucking cliff and I'm not dead. That's how you build faith. How do you have faith in spirit or faith in consciousness? You have to play around with it. You have to try it on for size. It's another thing that I really appreciate about the framework of human design. In human design, they talk about play with the experiment of your design. Get your chart done and go, okay, if I'm a generator, say, and my strategy in life and authority is to wait to respond and follow my emotional wave, let me try that out. I'm going to follow my emotional wave just on the question of, do I go to the grocery store today or tomorrow? And you play with it and you see if it works and if it brings you fulfillment, satisfaction, right? Completion in yourself. Nobody here is saying, I personally am, for one, I'm not saying give up every single bit of codependent attachment you have to other people's approval of you and just leap into full individualism right now. I don't expect people to be able to do that. But what I do say and want to say here today, and then I really want to actually open the records of consciousness for the last few minutes here and take any questions you guys have. What I do say is, look at the pain you're in. Get real with yourself about how much pain you're in, how much pain it causes your nervous system and your heart and your mind and your body to fold yourself into the shapes that other people want you fucking folded in. And when you look at it, what is the payoff you're getting? What is the payoff of folding yourself into little tiny uncomfortable positions that don't feel good to your body? What is the payoff? And if your answer is, the payoff is, I fitted to these tribes, but I feel exhausted. Or if the payoff is, I get to prove how good I am to other people, but I feel exhausted. Or the payoff is, I feel superior to people and I feel like I have value because I've proven I have value to them, but you feel unfulfilled and empty. That's when you want to look at, how worth it is it to get ego approval when you have no soul fulfillment? And so that is the point of heading towards 2027 with an awareness of, hey, when 2027 hits, the collective is going to shift anyway. I mean, it's shifting right now. Things don't shift on a dime. They shift slowly over time. And then there's a turning point. But whenever there's a turning point, that means we've been shifting for quite some time already. So heads up, everybody, the collective is already shifting and has been for quite some time. And in 2027, we'll just have what's called, Malcolm Gladwell talks about, the tipping point, where the collective just tips over into being majority individualism. So the purpose of it is, and I want to get back to that other point I was making earlier. The purpose of it is to care for yourself and to honor yourself. Now, think about it this way. This comes back to my libertarian point. If you cared for yourself in your own eccentricity all the way down to your bones and honored yourself one moment at a time every day, don't you think you would develop a little bit more compassion for the specific weird ways that the people in your life need to care for themselves and honor themselves? That's how it works with individualism. The age of individualism does not say, I'm me and fuck you because you're you. It's not a separatist energy. It's an energy that says, I'm me and I'm going to honor me. I'm going to care about me. I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to learn how this mechanism, this machine, this body, mind, organism operates. And then because I'm going to get real good at taking care of it. And I'm going to build my life around taking care of it. If you got real good at doing that, don't you think you'd be a little more patient about what other people fucking need? If the world was filled with individuals honoring themselves as they are, that would be a world filled with people who understand what it takes to honor yourself as you are. And once you understand what it takes to honor yourself as what you are, you become quite supportive of other people doing exactly that. You're not going to be so mad at your cousin who didn't make it to your fucking wedding. Go to your cousin's wedding if you can. But I'm saying you're not going to lose your shit about it because you understand maybe her kid was throwing a fit and they couldn't get the kid on the plane. And it's not about you. It's about them. And maybe that person you tried to go on a date with this week, Katie, who got real weird on the date and thought you were too much of a spiritualist, that's about his ass. That's not about me. And that is the gift of being able to honor the self rather than judge the self. Now, this doesn't mean, please hear me now, we get to justify our narcissistic, abusive bullshit behavior. Honoring the self does not mean be a dick and then just say to people, I'm just being myself. That is other ego level bullshit. So it's important you come to healing class. We start this Sunday. You're invited. And learn the distinctions between where are you being an asshole from your trauma, or where are you being a creep from your trauma, versus where are you actually just you? Where are you just being eccentric, vulnerable, messy you? Which parts of self are the parts to honor and own and love and nurture? And which parts of self are the ones that need some healing and some transformation? Because newsflash, whether a part of you needs to change or not, it still needs your love. Your love, your connection with the parts of you that are injured and need to change is the solution. Your love and your connection to the parts of you that are whole and perfect and unique unto themselves and don't need to change is the solution. The solution is always more allowance, more nurturance, more care with awareness. So you don't love your narcissism and then be like, whatever, deal with me. I'm just a narcissistic bitch. I'm loving myself. No, that's called upholding your ego. But you work with your narcissism to heal it by loving into the part of you that felt the need to build a narcissistic wall between yourself and others. And that vulnerable part of you that needed to build that wall needs your love in order to release the wall. Okay, so love is the answer. The Beatles already knew. Yoko, what's the band I want to say? Not the Beatles. God damn it. You guys, when your mind is erased, it's really nice because it gives you a lot of peace, but it's really hard to remember shit. I got no memory. Okay, so we would normally end at 6:30, but we started so late that I'm going to go a tiny bit over time today. We'll go till 6:40. I hope that's okay for you, Leslie. Text me if you need to. So we'll go till 6:40. So I'm actually going to open the records of consciousness right now, everybody. And I want to take any questions you might have. So this is not me opening your guys' records. This is me tapping into consciousness at a bit more of an expanded rate. So I'll just say the prayer and feel free to follow along if you like. I will close the records at the end as well. And so let's all take a couple breaths into our low bellies. And let's feel into our feet. And let's become aware of the surface area at the bottom of each foot. The entire surface area at the bottom of your feet. And visualize now, please, a little spinning vortex of light at the bottom center of each foot, like a hurricane, like a tornado. And see it spinning open and spinning wide. Until that tornado expands so wide at the bottom of each foot that all you have left is an open window or an open plane of energy that connects the electromagnetic field of your body to the electromagnetic field of the earth below you. And we're going to watch now as 500 tree roots of light in the form of tree roots extends through the open window of your left foot down into the earth, hundreds of miles. And we'll watch as 500 tree roots of light extend through the open window of your right foot, hundreds of miles into the earth. The more you guys ground, the easier this is for me, believe it or not, because I'm already empathically, psychically in touch with you guys just by our talking with one another here. So thank you for grounding with me. So we'll watch as these 1,000 tree roots of light anchor through the open windows of our feet, hundreds of miles into the planet. And we'll watch now as a nice wide grounding cord extends from the base of your spine down to the center of the earth, like a tunnel or a tube or a cord. And as that grounding cord hits the center of the earth, we'll just receive, just by allowing this to happen, just by imagining it to happen, a river of light flowing up through that grounding cord into the base of the spine, nurturing and nourishing the base of your spine. And we'll watch that river of light flood forward into each of your hip sockets, down through your quads and glutes and hamstrings, knees, calves, shins, ankles, and feet. And we'll watch that river of light flood down into the roots below you, nourishing, activating every single one of the 1,000 tree roots of light we just anchored into the earth moments ago. And we just acknowledge that this river of light just nourishes us, nourishes the grounding cord, nourishes the legs, nourishes the roots. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light. Asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of God, protect me, please, from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me, please, to know consciousness in the light of the Akashic records. Help me to see consciousness through the eyes of the Lords of the records, and enable me, please, to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of consciousness have for consciousness. And I'll go quiet for just a moment. All right, and as I deepen into the Akashic records of consciousness itself, I'm just asking the record keepers, the divine forces of light, angels, archangels, consciousness itself to dissipate, release anything in my field that would stand in the way of my receiving information clearly from consciousness itself. Okay, and so I want to take some questions from you guys, but before I do, there's a first little piece of information that's really loud in my awareness, which is that today, if today has felt weird in any way for you guys, there is something going on with regard to looking at and reviewing patterns of behavior. Oh my goodness. That you might have thought you were done with. We're being given like a little life review, like a little check your patterns. This pattern can still rear its ugly head. And so you might want to get present to, hold on, what patterns am I falling back into? Well, like what unconscious patterns that don't do me very much good am I falling back into? So if your day has been wonky at all, which I'm sure had something to do with our tech glitch at the beginning here today, just know that this is in the transits, it's in the astrology, it's in the universal teachings of this day. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's do a thing quickly here, and then I want to take your questions. If you can all feel back into your connection to your grounding cord, and then the connection to the roots below your feet. I want you to imagine that the river of light that Sophia Gaia, the soul of this planet, is delivering up through your cord, down through your legs, and into the roots. As it goes through your roots back into her, oh my goodness, understand that just by connecting with Sophia Gaia, the soul of the planet, in this way, we are healing her. We are revitalizing her. She revitalizes us and we revitalize her. It's a give and take. In the same way, if you think, you guys, about a hug, when you hug someone, it's not just that you benefit, it's they benefit. You both benefit when you hug each other, right? So similarly, when you ground into the earth feels hugged. So all these minutes we spend in our bodies in this reality, so disconnected from this planet, it's like we're saying to our own spiritual mother, I don't want to hug you. I'm busy. I don't have time. So just get present to that connection through the root chakra down into the earth, and just get present to that river of light she just fucking generously and thoughtlessly gives us. This is the gift of nature, you guys. You ever notice nature just gives you itself all the time? You don't have to like go to nature and be like, hey, nature, I'm sorry, are you available today? Do you have office hours, nature? Nature's like, no, bitch, I'm always open. That is the generosity of nature. And we walk around like snubbing it and ignoring it. Anyway, so I'm getting a lot of gratitude from the earth just for us connecting down. Yeah. And there's also a lot of healing happening just by us gathering. People who care about consciousness. When we gather and connect to the earth, we have a powerful effect on her consciousness as well. Okay, so what questions does anybody have, if anything, on the topic of the age of individualism and how we're already in it and how it is occurring and how it might be relating to your particular life? Please throw them in the chat now. And so let's see, Doc was saying, my parents were very tribe consciousness. What would the neighbors think? Yeah, maybe they'll just gossip about you. Will you die from gossip? Yeah, these are great points that Doc brings up. It's like, let them gossip. What's going to happen if they gossip? Also, do you actually think you could control people from gossiping about you? A lot of people think they could stop other people from talking. I had a friend who used to be a friend who would fucking tell me I wasn't allowed to talk about her to other people. And I was like, we can't be friends because you don't get to determine that. Now, does that mean it's like a healthy, loving thing for me to talk about other people? Not if it depends on the intention and what I'm trying to do by talking about them. If I'm talking about them to get clear on something for myself, I'm allowed to do that. If I'm just going around town and shitting on people, however, then nope, that's not exactly karmically wise. Okay, so yeah, gossip. If they gossip about you, guess what? They probably were going to do it anyway. So you want to bend and mold and fit yourself to be in a tribe of people that are going to gossip about you anyway? Why? 90 says, my body is moving while walking, sitting, or laying in bed, ways I didn't know it could. I sometimes cramp up in my lower chakras and elsewhere in. Feels like I might throw up through my heart. Am I clearing past energies? No, you're not. I wasn't ever wanted in the tribe. Yeah. No, I don't get a yes on that, 90. I don't think that's what that is. I think you've got some real stuff going on in the mind and in the nervous system. And I think it might require medical attention. I think I've actually said this to you before, and that is still what I get for you. There might be a healer, although I get a no, who can work with it for you, but I don't think that is what is required in this case. Okay, other people who have questions about the age of individualism. Okay. Doc says, where does our ego fit into your message? Okay, I think I need you to specify a little more. Can you say more about what you mean? What do you mean by fit into? Where does the ego fit into the message? I'm not sure what you mean. So elaborate for me. And in the meantime, who else has a question? We're stepping into the age of individualism. Oh, are you talking, Doc, about does the ego create the individualism? Is that what you mean? Okay, I think that's what you might mean. I don't want to speak to that if that's not what you mean. Can you clarify in the chat? Cool. And in the relate to individualism. Where does our ego relate to individualism? Let me really get this from conscious energies beyond my mind. All right. There is a way for the human organism to lean into its own individualism without making itself superior to any other organism. Now, you might be superior at things, like I might be better at knitting than you are. I might be better at skateboarding than you are, but that doesn't make me better than you. The problem of the ego is when it moves from owning your individualism, oh, I'm a person who doesn't like the bright lights of the stage anymore. I'm a person who needs to rest a lot. I'm a person who needs to be my own boss, which, by the way, is not true for everybody, but it's true for me. I'm a person who needs a lot of water in a day. That's not egoic because it's not creating separation. It's honoring me. It's honoring the individualistic needs that I have. Simply, or I should say similarly, this question comes up a lot with psychic people, spiritual people, sensitive people, creative people, when they have fucked up relationships at home. When you have difficult family members, people who are spiritual always want to think they're being egocentric by taking care of themselves, or that they're being selfish by taking care of themselves. This is not the case. The only time the ego is a problem is when you use it to create separation, when you use it to be superior to other people, when you use it to be worse or inferior to other people. You can either be a piece of shit or you could be the center of the earth. Both of those are functions of the ego. But individuality actually exists on the spiritual level. Individuality exists on the soul level. It's the imprint of you. You are an individually imprinted being. No ego required. So I hope that helps, Doc. Your eccentricity is important. Your egocentricity is something to heal. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have further questions on that. Tisha says she's a projector, 6'2". Okay, I'm a 6'2" as well, but I'm a manifesting generator. Totally hear you. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Sarah says, hi, Sarah. Is the oneness we hear about us gravitating to an evolution after individualism or simultaneous? It's simultaneous for sure. And that's precisely what I was talking about before when I said, the thing about, I don't know if you were here for this part, Sarah, but when I was saying the thing about if you get good at honoring, meeting your own needs and taking care of your own individualistic self, you're going to be much more in unity consciousness or oneness consciousness with the people around you who need to be eccentrically taking care of their own idiosyncratic needs. So we build more oneness by becoming more honoring of our individualism. At least that's what's available to us. So I hope that makes sense, Sarah. Let me know if you have follow-ups. Okay, great. I'm glad that's clear, Doc. Fantastic. Carolina, how do I align my lower self-mind with my higher self-mind? Ego is trapping me from growing. It's a really good question. I personally see that this way. The lower self needs to be transmuted into lower self energies that serve the higher self. The lower self only doesn't serve the higher self when there's trauma involved. Now, that trauma could be a past life trauma. It could be this life trauma. It could be somebody else's trauma that you picked up. It could be a lot of different things. But trauma creates an injured lower self. And then when your lower self is injured, but you start to work on healing your higher self, now you feel like you have two people inside you. You've got this like injured, traumatized one. I used to feel this way, but I had all this love in my heart and light in my crown. And I was like, what do I do about this? And then I realized, oh, I got to get the love and light from my crown and my heart into here. And this comes back to what I talk about every freaking week on here, which is healing chakras 1, 2, and 3. You've got to bring that light or that healing or that transmutation of pain and trauma all the way down and through that lower self, my friend. So it's not that you'll get to a place where you have no lower self. You will always have a lower self. You'll always want to get laid and eat food and get mad sometimes. The lower self is not meant to be thrown out the window and gotten rid of. The lower self is meant to serve. It's meant to be transmuted energetically to serve the divine. So if I get angry at something unjust and then I take action towards justice, that is divine use of my anger. Anger has a purpose. If I have sex with someone I'm in love with and it brings our hearts together and we create beautiful magic and music on the planet, that's the purpose of sex. Joy, pleasure, unity. So transmute the lower frequencies of the lower self so that they're still lower frequencies, but they serve the principles of the higher self, and you're doing well. Okay, I hope that makes sense for you. Carolina, let me know if you have any questions. And we're going to wrap up. I don't want to keep everybody all night, but we'll take just a couple more. Cindy says, go manifesting generators, realizing that my high energy is actually honoring the true me. Absolutely. Alhamdulillah. Namaste. Rock and roll. Tisha says, you may be answering my question now. The light of spirit need to come down into the lower. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is the key to everything. Let me tell you. When I moved to Memphis, Colorado, I thought going there was about all kinds of other shit that it had nothing to fucking do with. It was about healing my womb. My guides took me to Memphis, Colorado for a year because my womb needed healing. And the particular frequencies of light that come out of the goddamn ground in that part of the world are womb healing lights. So I had been doing a lot of first, second, third chakra healing, Tisha, already. But God is amazing. Consciousness is amazing. It's aware of everything. It was like, let's put this bitch in the southwest corner of Colorado because the frequencies of light that can heal her womb all the way down, womb, down, 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 they exist in the earth. So for me, I would just go to sleep at night and I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and be like, holy shit, there's like a vortex of light healing my womb. The fuck is that about? It's about when you commit to the spiritual path and you say to the divine, I'm healing this shit. I'm healing all of this shit down into the lower self included. The universe starts to support that endeavor and takes you where you need to be. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. Frida, you're here. I heard about your mural. I'm so excited about that. Love it. I love your teachings. Thanks. They're as wonderful as you are. You gem. You delightful gem. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, my friends, I think we're going to wrap up here for tonight. This is a good talk. I want to remind you of a couple things you have available to you. One, OMA, the OMA Institute, omapittsburgh.org. You can join me for my Monday night class, which starts next Monday. It's very affordable. It's called Waking the Sleepers. Let me put this in the chat. omapittsburgh.org, I think is their website. If not, you can just Google OMA Pittsburgh, OMA. And then join the class, Waking the Sleepers. We're going to do energy healing each Monday for 5 Mondays at a ridiculously low price. 2, heal the double helix DNA strand of your spiritual alignment, activate your magical powers, and heal your lower self trauma. We're going to wake the sleepers and we're going to turn all the light workers here into more powerful light workers. So that starts this coming Monday, April 4th. Go to OMA Pittsburgh to get your, to register for that. You can also hop into my 7-week class on Sundays, Highest Level Healing. In order to get info for that, you're going to go to katierubin.com, which I just put in the chat, and you're going to select in the page where you select things, Highest Level Healing, which is a Sunday class for 7 weeks online. This time around, we are focusing on the topic of that class is healing all of our resistance, clearing all the polarized sides of resistance, and doing so within the framework of your human design chart. So we're going to dig deep into everybody's individual chart, and we're going to look at the places where you're in resistance to who you are, where you're in resistance to how the vehicle of you operates. And we're going to clear it energetically. That's the Sunday class we start this Sunday, April 3rd. Also, you can hop into Star Beings the next round. This is my mid-level to advanced class. That's Tuesday nights. Again, you would go to katierubin.com to reserve your spot in Star Beings. That's Tuesday nights. This is for people who have already been on a path for a little while and are looking to deepen their connection to spirit, heal their stuff, activate the double helix DNA strand of your spiritual alignment, come to know consciousness, move everything heavy out of your system. Join us for that. We start the 12th of April with that. And last thing I want to tell you about is I will be doing another show in June 4th at the Howland Cultural Center here in Beacon, New York, live on a stage with human beings in the room. I can't wait. And I'm pretty sure we're going to live stream it. So you should be able to, at a certain point, buy a ticket to see the live stream version of it. But if you're anywhere near upstate New York, join us on June 4th for a live show. It's going to be healing, comedy, jokes, stories from my life. So I'm going to do actual energy healing in the room for the whole group and tell relevant stories and funny jokes. And it'll be very irreverent. And don't come if you have a problem with irreverence. Do come if you're interested in transformation and laughing, because that's what it's about, my friends. I love you guys so very much. And let me close the records, just in case any of you went with me to the other dimensions. I want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. Thank you, Lords of the Records, for their point of view, and the Holy Spirit of Light for all knowledge and healing. I ask that you return consciousness to itself now, please. I ask that you return me to my complete human wholeness, but keep me tapped into consciousness in a way that I can handle. The divine portal and the Akashic records of consciousness are now closed. Amen. The divine portal, the Akashic records of consciousness are now closed. Amen. The divine portal, the Akashic records of consciousness are now closed. And Squeezle woke up. Amen. 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 Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad abduhu wa rasulullah. Allah. Also, feel free to go to katierubin.com to get your private session and or to book your package of sessions to heal all that lower self trauma, bitches. I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.